How's it going, everybody? Josh, KI6NAZ, coming back at you again. It's that time of year again where we do another wrap-up of my favorite gear in 2020. This is going to be a lot of ham radio stuff, but it's going to be stuff that's not just ham radio, just stuff that I absolutely loved in 2020. Some stuff I haven't even put out the review yet for, so stay tuned. Should be a lot of fun. Now, it's possible you didn't get the thing, whatever it was you were looking for this year, or maybe you were looking for that special gift for someone else. Hopefully this helps. This is literally my favorite things that I had my hands on this year that I think almost anybody, if they are in the area of amateur radio, bit of outdoors, a little self-reliance, and some video creation would like. All the links for all the products will be in the description. For those products that I could find on Amazon, I will link through my Amazon store. You're not obligated to go through my Amazon store, but if you do, thank you, I appreciate it. Number one, my Hako soldering iron, my FX888D. You've seen at least the tip of it in a lot of my kit building videos or antenna building videos. It is my go-to soldering iron. It's always set up on the bench, it's always got power, and I use it quite often. It has been fantastic, and I guess the best thing you can say about a soldering iron is every time you turn it on, it works, it puts out the power or the heat that you want every time, and this does it without question. So the Hako FX888D, number one. Number two, anything that's sold out of Palomar Engineers. Again, I'm not affiliated with them. We got 2020 started off with a bang where I did my, what's ruining ham radio video, where I deployed the toroid cores and the ferrite clamp-on chokes to bring down a lot of the noise I had around my home. I have a discount code. It is HRCC73. I'm not affiliated with them. It's not an affiliate code. It's just a straight-to-you discount. So if you didn't pick anything up from Palomar Engineers and you have some noise that you want to deal with in your home, now is the time, maybe, if you got a little bit of leftover scratch from the stockings, to check them out. Number three, the Nano VNA antenna analyzer or network vector analyzer. And I'd give a honorable mention to the tiny SA SpecAn or spectrum analyzer. These kind of came out in the market in 2020 and they kind of took it by storm a bit. It's one of the first times you can get what's close to a full-featured antenna analyzer or network vector analyzer, and there are some distinctions there which I covered in the video. But at the price point that they're selling it, and the fact that it can connect to a computer, there's a whole world of things you can do with a vector network analyzer. And it's just for the price, what, $50 to $100, depending on size of screen and other capabilities. It's just a super cool tool. So if you didn't get one of these and you were thinking about it, maybe check it out now. Number four, something you never saw on the channel, my Elgato screen capture. It's basically a USB interface for a SLR camera like the one I'm talking to you on now, or whatever other camera you have, or a video game console, whatever, into your computer. I used it at the Big Bear antenna building, antenna shootout. I've used it it's on my overhead camera on my live streams. It's what allows me to get my really high quality cameras into my stream for when I do all my online video streaming stuff. Elgato Hd Capture is relatively moderately priced, and it's not getting a ton of gouging like has been seen right after COVID. So you can still get this relatively inexpensively, I guess it depends on what you consider inexpensively, off of Amazon. So the link is in the description for that. Number five, another item that is offset, kind of, you don't really see it. It is the Rode Wireless Go wireless microphone set. I actually have it connected to my lapel mic right now, which is also a Rode mic, I believe. This is a really cool unit because it is a standalone microphone, transmitter, and receiver combo that connects to the cold shoe on your camera. The advantage of this unit is it's incredibly small. It has an internal microphone on the transmitter and also a port for an external mic. So there's all kinds of options you can do with these, and I have used it consistently all throughout 2020, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's worked really well. Very little issue with it. So it's just worked, and generally that's good enough for me to give it pretty high marks, and it's pretty much my favorite microphone solution that I've come across in a lot of years. Number 6, my BuddyPull Power Mini. This is a solar charge controller that has Anderson power plugs for the input of the solar panel, your connection to battery, 2 outputs for 12 volts or whatever you have connected to it, like 2 radios, and a USB port that it will put out power to charge cell phones and tablets, that kind of thing. It is extremely small, very well made. If you compare it to other relatively sized charge controllers, you know, there's a lot of terminal controls with screws and all that fun stuff, wires connecting directly into it, or banana plugs, other things like that, or proprietary solar panel connectors. None of that. This is all Anderson's. It's got a nice screen. You get a quick image of what's going on, a quick idea of how things are going with the solar panel as far as your charge rate and what's left on your battery, and the load that's coming into the charge controller. It's got a bright screen that you can easily see in the sun, and it's very lightweight and packs really easily. If you have a small solar panel or even something larger, it'll work really well. Number 7, the most EDC'd thing that I've carried in 2020, which is my Tactical Keychains Tuck 2. This is a small utility knife that you can carry in your pocket really easily. It uses magnets to control the sliding action and the locking of the blade once you have it deployed. And I have used this many antenna builds, just random utility, because I don't want to use my nice sharpened regular pocket knife. I just want to use a utility blade because I can just swap them out, throw them away, put a new one in. These are sometimes hard to find. I will post the link to Tactical Keychains so you can check him out. He has an Instagram. It's a really cool Instagram that he does, walking through the CNC process and the design process he goes through as he puts out all of his tools. He makes more than just the Tuck 2. And this one, really good against my orange sweater. I'm really glad I wore this to really show off this knife. But yeah, this is a go-to. Didn't do it again. All right. Anyway, this is a really good item. Highly recommended. Number 8. My Mobi linked TNC3. This is a video I put up pretty recently. You can go check it out. Again, I'll post links too in the description for all the videos that some of these products are featured in. Boy, this thing is just really, really nice. It simplifies a problem that I've always had with HTs, going all the way back to when I was first getting started in amateur radio. My desire to do APRS, but having very few APRS radios on the market, and then having a secondary TNC to do APRS was often kind of cumbersome. It required a lot more wires into the radio and then into your computer. Back then it was mostly all computers. Phones and tablets weren't as popular as they are today. This gets rid of all of that. It's Bluetooth. So whatever works Bluetooth and has an appropriate application to work the TNC's data that's coming in, whether it's WinLink or APRS, whether it's on a PC or a tablet, this will work with it. And it was also featured recently in my little holiday video I did, going to a parade and working WinLink with my GPD Pocket 2 laptop. Fantastic unit. It's really fun. I think it's worth the price. I think it's nicely done. It's a well-integrated device. And integration often can be difficult with amateur radio. This does a fantastic job, particularly bringing really good HTs that lack a lot of cutting edge features, cutting edge, right, being a relative term, like my Kenwood. I love this Kenwood. I wish it would do APRS, and now it can with this TNC and WinLink. So highly, highly recommended the Mobi linked TNC3. Number 9, and I'm kicking myself on the orange sweater again. This is the Wouxun Mate, or it's actually the KG-UV9D Mate. It's a 10-watt transceiver for VHF and UHF. I have not reviewed this yet, but I've been playing with it since, I guess, Black Friday, because that's when I picked it up. I was shocked and surprised by this radio. Not just its capabilities, but its price. And I'll give you a spoiler alert. I view this in a lot of ways as being the spiritual successor to the Yaesu FT60R, which was my first ham radio. So look forward to a video on that. Highly impressive. The link is in the description. I think it's like 150 bucks. Don't get too jazzed about the 10-watt output portion of that. I think that's just gravy on what is already a really nice radio. So yeah, check this one out. This surprised me. I was very impressed by it. I've generally been impressed by Wouxun in general. I will give you the caveat, of course. This is a Chinese-made radio, so I know a lot of you aren't really interested in buying Chinese radios. So if this is not something for you, you know, heads up on the on being a Chinese radio. Coming in at number 10, another workhorse that does a lot of the behind-the-scenes action on the stream is my Elgato Stream Deck. It is right behind me here. It is 15 programmable buttons. Using their software, you can configure Streamlabs, OBS, OBS Classic, or OBS Studio. It will connect to Twitch. It will connect to YouTube. It will do a number of things. Also, recently, there are some radio manufacturers that are interfacing with that via, you know, custom-made software. Flex Radio, for instance, has a control set that you can run and control the radio, a lot of its functions anyway, through a Stream Deck. So this is a little bit more my favorite thing, may not be so much for you, but check them out if you do use things like Zoom or you use OBS and you want to add some flair or some convenience in whatever workflow you use. All right, we're into the final 5, and this is when things heat up significantly. These are the items that I have just been, it basically made my time more enjoyable when I was using ham radio. They've made my videos better on the back end on what you see. And the first one, number 11, is my Sony A6400. I have been a Canon guy for a long time, and I decided to go with the mirrorless options that Sony has in the case of the A6400 single lens reflex camera. All of my videos, at least most of my videos in 2020, were shot on this A6400. It is a fantastic camera for YouTubers. Not the best vlogging camera, but for what I do, where I use a tripod a lot of the time, it is really, really, really good. Everything I've done with the stream, interfacing with the stream, whether it be on USB or when I eventually got the Elgato Capture card, worked flawlessly. I've had very little issue with it. I'll give you some high points really quickly because I probably won't make a review. It shoots natively 4K up to 120 frames per second, although I generally shoot 60 or 24-25. But what makes this one really impressive is that when I'm shooting 4K, it doesn't time out. I can turn on record, and it will record until the memory card is full. I haven't topped out a memory card yet, but I've definitely gone beyond what I've done in other cameras that have like a 4K auto shut off at the 10 or 12 minute mark. No problem with the A6400. It has worked with my Mac in Final Cut Pro, which is my primary editing solution, my editing platform of choice. It's been great. Again, I like to go after things that make my workflow really easily, that well integrate into what I'm already doing, and the Sony A6400 did a fantastic job. Really easy to set up too, and I'm not a guy that dinks around, believe it or not. I like to dink around with radios. I don't like to dink around with the settings of the camera. Sometimes you that watch me that know cameras a lot better than I do, you're probably like cringing at some of the way I set up my shots. I get it. If you want to send me a message, you can DM me, slide into the DMs, or send me an email at hoshnasi@gmail.com and tell me what I should do if you see anything that's wrong. Anyway, number 12. It's above our heads, or at least my head, every day, and it is my Step IR 3-element beam with the 30 and 40 meter dipole attachment. I was pretty ambitious when I set out to set up this antenna. It was an upgrade to my hex beam, which I had for a couple of years, and I have absolutely loved the antenna. It is more complicated to set up on the ground, but I found that its assembly on the roof, or if you had a tower, was much easier in comparison to other Yagis, fixed Yagis, multi-beam, multi-band Yagis, whatnot. I really like the control box that comes with the unit that allows me to adjust frequencies, adjust SWR really, really easily. Out of the box, it comes programmed for 6 through 20 meters, and then you throw on the 30 and 40 meter dipole, and you get you know, a dipole capability. No gain, dipole capability on those middle loops. Just really, really simply. Push buttons, it jumps around, it moves very quickly, tunes really quickly to adjust to whatever band you're using. Just so fantastic to be able to click a button and know that my SWR is going to be all 1.2 and less for whatever band I'm transmitting on. That is a lot of peace of mind, and has been really, really nice this year as I've been playing radio a lot more than I did last year because we're stuck at home a lot. Number 13, definitely the piece of kit that I've gotten more questions on than anything. Comments on YouTube, questions on Instagram, in my emails, you name it, it was the GPD Pocket 2 Windows 10 laptop. There are a couple of versions of this out on the market. The current model runs a Celeron processor. This is not a Speed Demon computer at all. It is, however, a fully functioning Windows 10 laptop. It's a touchscreen. It has a little sensor input. Think of the Lenovo ThinkPad, IBM ThinkPad eraser nub mouse. It's very much like that. It's kind of how it functions. It has two ports, two USB ports and a USB-C port, as well as a micro SD card for input. It works really, really well with ham radio. And if you have it closed up, it's literally not much bigger than a 705 as far as its height, but it's certainly a lot skinnier. I do WinLink with this, WSJTX, JSA call, pretty much you name it. Any app you want to run, it runs very well. Its resolution is high enough that it's not compressed like you might get with a tablet running a Raspberry Pi solution. Raspberry Pis are great. They're very inexpensive, which makes them great. And when you interface them with a tablet, also great, you do get some squish of the resolution, because the resolution just isn't that big out of the Raspberry Pi. I think it tops out at 1080p. Also totally workable. This is better. This is also faster. You can do a lot more with this. And because it's a Windows PC, you have very little issue interfacing with your networks, whatever you're going to do. I've kind of turned this into my prepper laptop, to say prepper laptop, and I don't know if you if you think that's kind of an oxymoron. But basically, I have all my important documents on here, my manuals for any gear that I would depend on in an emergency, anything like that. And this can just fold up. It can go into any waterproof bag or waterproof container in your backpack really easily. It's kind of a second layer of defense if you had a regular laptop or you had a Raspberry Pi, because you can interface any of it with this, and it's kind of a good backup. Big, huge caveat to this, though. And this is for people that really freak out about keyboards. This is a modified keyboard layout, not traditional, not standard. In fact, the period's way over here on the other side of the arrow keys. If you have a problem with that, but by the way, they're still relatively full-sized, not as full-size as my regular laptop, but it's effective, is what I'll say. It is an effective field solution, not the most comfortable thing that you might use on day-to-day. It does run YouTube and Netflix and all the other fun stuff if you're going to do that, and it looks really good. The only thing is the screen also is a bit dimmer. It doesn't have the higher nit count, so its brightness isn't nearly as high as a lot of the laptops that are coming out. So if you don't mind the compromises, this is a very functional piece of kit, and my 13th favorite thing. Number 14, very controversial. I'll get a lot of comments down below on this one. Number 14 is my MacBook Pro M1. I've been running my channel since 2011 on a 2011 iMac. I have had to put the video card for that iMac in the oven 3 times to be able to get ready for live streams, to edit and render videos, because the video card just stopped working, and the video card I think is like $500 to buy a new old stock video card. That thing held on for a really, really long time. But finally I decided to kind of take a gamble going with the new ARM-based laptops and you know, ARM-based processors that Apple has come out with. Relatively inexpensive. I think this is $1,200, $1,300, $1,400. I get that it's expensive for a laptop, but I've been able to edit all of my videos on this very, very quickly. No proxies, for those of you that edit knows what that means. No proxies, just the image or the videos that I bring into my editor, which is Final Cut Pro, and it renders super, super fast. I appreciate I'm not a power user, but I do make a lot of videos, and so for me, this has been a just absolute boon to my production, my workflow, the speed at which I can do what I do, and it's been super, super impressive. I don't know what else to say other than if you are a Final Cut user and you are in the market for a new laptop or maybe a Mac Mini, because that's all that's on the market right now, you should probably take a look at this. If you need a computer and a laptop now. If you don't, maybe wait until the M1X comes out, which is going to be a larger MacBook Pro, and there'll be an iMac shortly on the way as well. For me, my iMac was literally on its last legs, and I decided, nope, I'm just doing it, and I'm really glad I did because it's fantastic. So number 14 is the Apple MacBook Pro. This one's spec'd out with 16 gigs. I kind of just loaded it up and said, well, if it lasts as long as the 2011, I'll have it for a long time and definitely earn its value. Number 15, we're back to ham radio in a big way. It's been on the table this whole time. It's the 705. This is the radio I pick up in the morning, I use throughout the day when I'm at home, and I end up taking to bed at night. Sometimes I listen to radio. I can't say enough good things about this radio, and I almost feel like a hypocrite when I talk about this radio, because the people that have been watching me for a long time generally will point out that, Josh, you don't really advocate all-in-one radios, meaning VHF, UHF, and HF radios. And I think I mentioned it on live stream not long ago. I realized something with the 705. It's not that I dislike all-in-ones. It's that I don't like how they get integrated together. I think that was my problem. Maybe I'm just an apologist coming up with reasons why I wasn't wrong. But yeah, you can call me out. I was wrong. I still like secondary layers of whatever radios you have. Of course, I still have VHF and UHF behind me as well on the shack, and I'll continue to use all those as well. But this radio is just it's such an easy radio to carry, and it just kind of does all the things. I've never had a problem where I don't just connect this radio in and to whatever antenna and start operating. I appreciate it doesn't have a tuner, which is what everybody brings up, but after mentioning the Step IR and my portable antennas are all resonant, I haven't had a problem with it. It's chock full of features. It has the single USB cable for connecting to my GPD Pocket 2 or my MacBook. Yep, it'll run that too. It works fantastically. It's been a lot of fun to use. It's been a radio that I pick up and I'm excited to use it. I'm excited to, try new things out on it because there's a whole lot of things. D-Star integration with running a node off of the Wi-Fi because this has Wi-Fi, of course it does. Bluetooth, it has GPS. There's just so many cool things it does. Output your GPS location to your Raspberry Pi. You can feed it that way without having that little dongle. Connecting it via Bluetooth to your computer or to some other device for listening. All things are capable in that front. It has been a really, really cool radio. And, I haven't, oh, hey, you know what? That's true. I haven't actually put out my final review on this. I did lots of introductions and walk through how to do things, but I haven't kind of summed it all up in a review. So I don't want to give too much away, although I've given you a lot of my high points right now. I think it's totally worth the price that they're asking, and it's just a lot of fun. And that's really what it should be at the end of the day. It's fun and has a lot of capability that you could depend on if you needed it. So for all those reasons, number 15, my favorite thing of 2020 is the ICOM 705. So how did I do in this video? What do you think of my top 15 list? I'd love to hear your top 15, or at least your favorite thing, in the comments below. Your favorite gear of 2020. Oddly enough, people got really gear conscious, preparedness conscious, just all kinds of conscious in 2020 for the obvious things going on around us. So I bet I'm going to hear some really, really good ideas. So I would love to hear more from you when you post below. Anyway, I am Josh, KI6NAZ. You've been watching the Ham Radio Crash Course. I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Click that bell, click them all, click that all next to the bell, because that'll notify you when I post a video or go live. If you enjoyed this, you think I did a good job, give me a thumbs up. Consider checking out our Patreon, our Facebook, and our Discord, which is a big community of amateur radio folks that value inclusivity and bringing people into the hobby in a nice way. Bunch of nice people that like to help people out. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.